Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Economic Times Digital Roundtable, Power of Active Intelligence, Transcending Collaboration Beyond the Last Mile, powered by Click. Information is the oil of the 21st century, and analytics is the combustion engine, said Peter Sondergaard. Companies looking to breach the veil of uncertainty and weaving resilience into their DNA for future shocks are focusing on gathering more data to unlock new revenue options. This data has enormous potential for helping a firm thrive and for assisting executives in making real-time decisions. However, this can only happen if this data is used to its full potential in order to generate useful insights. And business intelligence can prove to be more useful in these tumultuous times if it is relayed in a real-time manner. Active intelligence seems to be the answer. It provides analytics-ready data along with the most updated information in real time. With an amalgamation of the data at rest and data in motion, it represents the pulse of the data, providing business insights and creating an intelligent data to analytics pipeline. Businesses can prepare themselves for unexpected situations in future by using active intelligence, as it can help in anticipating the upcoming trends. It provides more detailed insights thanks to AI-powered analytics. Active intelligence also represents the business moment by adding business logic to analytics-ready data, transforming it into business-ready data and enabling collaboration among all data personas. In today's roundtable, we have a stellar lineup of seasoned experts who will deliberate upon unleashing the power of active intelligence in today's data-driven demands. They'll shed light on how active intelligence enables businesses to not only outperform the competition, but also to adapt and respond quickly to changing situations. They will also touch upon topics like the status of active intelligence adoption, how to tackle business problems using active intelligence, how data pipelines enable quick decisions, and business outcomes that active intelligence may help you accomplish, among other topics as well. For the Economic Times Digital Roundtable, Power of Active Intelligence, Transcending Collaboration Beyond the Last Mile, powered by Click. I'm delighted to welcome the eclectic speaker panel. Azain Ghani, Group CIO, MJ International and Penguin Sportswear Private Limited. Dr. Ajanta Ratnayaka, Assistant General Manager, ICT Regional Development Bank. Gaurav Jasoria, Group Director, Valuable One PLC. Nidesh Fernando, Manager, Digital Banking, Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC. The session will be moderated by Charlie Farah, Director Solutions and Value Acceleration, Click. Over to you, Charlie.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. Excellent, thank you. And lastly, over to you, Gaurav. And your role is slightly different because your role covers a conglomerate of businesses and different operations under Valuable One. But can you give a brief description or an overview about your role and how it fits in with Valuable One and how you incorporate data analytics into your operations?
Sure. So I'm Gaurav. I work as a group director for business strategy and digital transformation across multiple group companies. So I work with all those companies which are under Chairman Mr. Damika Pereira, and that cuts across both Valuable One and Hades. I look after the business strategies and digital transformations in general for wherever there's a need for interventions. So what my primary role is to figure out the proactive ways of improving the companies, whether it's an intervention through the people, processes, or technologies, which could lead to an upliftment of the both bottom and the top lines. So from the perspective where we started with the digital transformations long back, which has really kept our companies in a very fast pace towards the changing world. From the perspective of how we analyze and use the data across our operations. So I think the data has become truly the bloodline for our group operations. We use the data for analyzing our processes, operations, and the performance. We use the data for comparing us with ourselves of the yesteryears, and we also benchmark ourselves with the world's best companies. So we always try to see who the best in this market in the specific processes or the functions are. We try to figure out if we had to reach that level, then what do we have to do about that? So the data gives us a benchmarking with respect to true comparisons where we stand versus the best of the world's companies. That helps us in identifying the issues, and then we figure out the ways and the means to improve the processes that could cut across multiple areas. And we will talk more about it as we move forward. But then the idea is that once we figure out the gaps and the inefficiencies in our businesses, then we actually enact on ensuring that those things are ironed out. And post that, we continuously monitor the key performance indicators to see whether we are on the right track. So that has been a general strategy for all our group companies. The only thing we talk about is data. Any area which we talk about is what is going on through the data. We don't talk simple words, right? So I think that has given a very good landing spot to us even before pandemic had hit us, because we were absolutely ready for most of our businesses who had started on the journey of this data analytics to the data sciences to advanced AI. We had already started on these paths, and we had dealt with multiple areas. So it was actually a much better position we were in when COVID had hit us, which had given us a solid performance base. So we'll talk more about it as we move on. Thank you.
Yeah, as well, I guess, for you. It keeps you on your toes as the GM of digital transformation.
Yes.
Gaurav, now to you. You touched on before, you said that data and analytics data is like a bloodline for you guys in Valuable One. Can you expand on some of that and maybe give some examples of how you've used it to improve operations, or maybe even reimagine new processes for things that could be done better, and any learnings you've come from those experiences?
Charlie, we started on this journey of using the data quite some time back. What we had realized was that without the use of a proper data, we won't be able to take decisions very promptly. And we have been monitoring that if you don't have the right kind of data quality in your organization, you'd end up losing a lot of money. So for example, US currently loses around $3.1 trillion annually just because of the poor data quality, right? And there's a tons of data being generated every second. So for example, Google has 40,000 searches every second. You have 65 billion messages being sent daily on WhatsApp. So what we see altogether is a huge amount of data which is being available, but the potential of that data to be analyzed is just around 37% of the entire data, which businesses could actually potentially utilize. So what we did was that, we started on this journey to understand how we can improve our processes or the businesses in general. I'll take one of the examples. So in one of our retail focused companies, what we realized was that we were losing sales purely because we were not having the right products at the right time in the right location, right? Now, initially, so I would say a few years back, we did not have the right quality of data, and we were not able to even figure out where we are losing money. Then we ensured that the data pipelines are set, we get the information in much quicker and much easier fashion, which is understandable by the end users. And then we started analyzing that why we were losing sales. And then what we realized was that because of the business model, how it was set up from ordering to the fulfillment of the particular product line, we realized that a lot of times the right kind of products didn't even reach the stores. And that part of the information we analyzed by using a lot of historical data, moving averages. We figure out that the fast movers are not available in the stores. A lot of high potential products which are high value are not at the right places where they could be sold. So things like that triggered us to think that why are we doing this? What can we do to make it better? So the issue of the data, which led us to understand why we were losing sales, triggered our entire change in the backend in terms of the supply chain. We started focusing on how we could do auto replenishments for the products into the stores as soon as they are getting sold. Why can't we just immediately replenish it automatically through the systems? So that led to a change into our processes for the ordering. That led to a quick change onto our WMS, the warehouse management system. That led to us understanding that how much should we really be sending to our stores. So for that, we started using data sciences to figure out that what could be the potential forecast for this particular SKU in this location, given the demography of a particular market or the particular area. Yeah. Whether can we sell more for a higher value product? Can we sell more of a lower value product? So we started using data sciences to figure out the real forecasting, and we went up to 95% of the accuracy. From we started when we used to do pretty manually earlier, which was 60-65% accurate. Suddenly the accuracy jumped up to 95% using the data sciences. What that led to was that we automatically started selling the right products in the right locations, because our customers were coming and seeing a lot more product ranges in our stores. This led to another optimization for us on the transports and logistics, because now we knew how much we have to every day order, but then now we are incurring a lot of costs onto our transportation, which led us to think that how do we optimize our routes, which could reduce our cost base on the transport side. So every single area started getting impacted, because what we started as a problem, which was a lost sale, that started triggering into the multiple impacts across the areas. And each area, we developed specific, KPIs, which we are monitoring on a regular basis just to figure out if we are going in the right direction. And that led to a complete change and overhaul for all the backend processes, which, of course, supported by the human intelligence. But then the primary work of humans was to act on to actual physically moving the products, rather than only figuring out what's going on in the data or actually in the market, because now that data was coming out to us very, very quickly. So just one of the examples that how the data is completely rechanging and revamping the entire value chain of our organization in general across. And one of the key learnings which I felt from the, let's say, just take this example. I think whenever such overhauls happens, I think the biggest thing is that the leadership should be very energetic and agile in incorporating and understanding the impact what data is bringing. A lot of times what I've seen in a lot of companies is that sometimes leadership is not enthusiastic enough. They are very comfortable with whatever they have, but then as long as you understand there's a potential value which the data is bringing it to you, and you are keen to make sure that you make it work, so that if the top leadership is aligned, then it automatically percolates down to the the lowest level in the organization, and then everybody starts getting aligned to improving the efficiencies in the processes. So I think that's a huge shift in what data is bringing to our every single day operations across the board, and which has really shown us amazing results. We can talk a lot about it, but then just to give a glimpse of it is, in some of the organizations, we have moved from 1x to 100x in this COVID times, literally, purely because we were ready at the right time.
Yeah.
When in the process of data processing, you will find a lot of vendors who are doing this data analytics, but most of the things, I think all the other panel speakers will agree with me, Asani, Gaurav, when they come up with a lot of rosy things that say, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that, and all those things. But there's most of the data, the tools that they don't offer is, now we are in a space where we have garbage data or whatever it is, and not clean data. So how to transform that data into clean data where we can get the proper outcome, where to make real good decisions. Like Gaurav says, they have been doing it. Now, initially, Gaurav also must have these challenges. But initially, when the process goes on, now lot of tools in the market at the moment, especially in Sri Lanka, in India, sometimes there are tools, but they don't show us how to bridge with the actual scenario and to how to get into where they are showing us and where we want. So when if this data saying, okay, they should have to say, okay, this data, we want this, and this percentage of data, you have these problems. Likewise,
if I may just interject, maybe I can advise something. So whenever we encounter such scenarios where we need to take certain decisions based on data, and we realize that somebody's pitching it to us saying they can do magic for us, the first thing we ask them is to tell us what kind of data you would need from us, in what level of purity you need it from us to give us an optimal output, right? So that preparation of the data is what we do upfront, and not based on once a project starts, right? So that gives us a bandwidth to ensure that the right amount of data is there with us at a right level of purity, and then only we initiate any discussion with the vendors, right? So that gives us a time frame, and that gives us also a target to improve our data quality, right? So that helps. And on the other side, what we also do is that once we have gone on to the basic BI journey, where now we understand what information is clearly coming out, then we start looking into what better we can do with the data. So now, for example, we also have few banks and financial institutions under our umbrella. So we have literally gone to the use of data sciences to say, let's say if the customer is walking in any of the branches, do we see the customer in the same fashion across the board? We do not depend on the humans to say, I think this customer is credit worthy or I think he's not. And we are not relying just on the CRIB data for that matter. We use CRIB data as just one of the input parameters for us to say what CRIB is telling the score of the customer is. But then we input a lot of other data like what does the customer want? Where is he coming from? What has been his income or the associated families, extended families income? Is he coming from an area which is more in the default? We combine a lot of these parameters to essentially give a much better credit scoring for a customer, which helps us in saying whether we can give a little more to this customer at the same level which other people cannot afford to give. Or we feel that he's a risky customer, we should not give him more than this, right? So I think what probably you might have to go through also is that one, what is the value which you want to give to the business from the digital perspective, but also thinking around if you have to reach to that level, what is the data which you require upfront? Because at least the data gathering journey should start as soon as possible. If you don't have enough history, you can't do a lot of things, right? So that's just my 2 cents, because we have done a lot of work into this side also.
Spot on, Gaurav. That's the thing I am saying right now. That is what we were experiencing with our traditional, our main the system with that and the Excel. That is what we were now we were finding difficult now at the moment. To like what Charlie's question is, what are they?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for those insights. Gaurav, just continuing on the theme of data literacy and data first culture, you seem very experienced and very ingrained in the journey across Valley of L1. Are there any learnings that you've looked back now and think, maybe we could have pivoted and done things differently, or have you made any sort of adjustments to certain approaches?
So normally what I would think is that wherever it is you feel a resistance in the organizations where people are not supporting a change, right? There, like Azin also was referring that, there's a particular scenarios where the departments are holding on to data, where they think that data is their property, right? I think those are the silos you need to break absolutely across. And this you would find a lot of very traditional organizations which have been for decades in the country. And there, the dependence is heavily tilted towards people. I think that's the area which essentially blocks the growth of an organization, because unless you have the mindset change in those people, which if they are sitting at the top, it's all the more difficult to get the change done in the organization. I think that's where you need to kind of shake the whole root to make it work, right? That's where we have seen that a push right from the level which could actually push those leaders is what is needed to really shake them and say that this will not work. You need to move on from this, what it is. And then if that change happens, then the whole organization goes into that direction. And that's where is the most crucial tipping point for that organization. Because suddenly you move away from holding the data to yourself to making the data as a democratic data which is available to everyone. and then anyone can have a visibility of it to say what's going on really. So just to give you an example, we, at the group level, we have the visibility of the data across most of our organizations, whatever is going on a day-to-day basis with them. We don't ask them that, please give us this data. We have the access to their data points to say, we know what's going on, we know what is probably troubling you, and we figure out a proactive way of helping them. So that gives them the comfort saying that data is helping them rather than you using data as always a whipping lash. You saying that here is the data, we understand an issue, and here is a solution for you. Why don't you take it up and then move forward, right? So I think that's where the whole thing has to change. If there are younger organizations where the leaders are much more dynamic, younger, they embrace it very quickly. Where the organizations have become very old, there you really need to be a force to shake the entire tree with the roots, and then it helps. So I think there are different ways of dealing, but it has worked for us.
Excellent. We're almost up on our time, which has been great, the conversation. Thank you. Azane, do you have any thoughts? What's one piece of practical advice you would give to any organization starting on their data analytics journey?
Okay, so there's no quick fix. Okay, it takes time to get data all the way from the shop floor all the way up to the boardroom to make a strategic decision. It takes time, but the key things that you need to fix are people, process, and systems. And then basically you would be able to generate, or you would be able to go to active intelligence and then move towards that direction. Okay. And finally, my last piece of advice is enjoy the journey.
Very good. Gaurav, over to you. Your one piece of advice.
Right. I think for whatever I've seen and experienced, the most important need for the organization, whoever started on the journey, it is that business should take the ownership of the change. It should not be an IT project. It should always be a business project. If IT becomes the owner, then things generally don't work. You need to have a business ownership and a sponsorship. You need to have a very strong business project manager who can drive the business to essentially give all the requirements and the feedbacks in time. And then IT should just be an enabler. It should not take any further role beyond being an enabler. Because if you do that, you are doomed already, right? So that's what I agree with you, Gaurav. 100% agree with you. That's what I think is the most crucial point we have given to almost all the businesses, that if you are saying IT has to lead it, then don't start it. If you are ready to commit your own resources and your time, then do it, else forget it. Right. So I think that's what it is.
Just adding to that, Gaurav, I think it's that whole principle of creating the departmental champions. So you create a departmental champion who becomes the torchbearer. 100% agree.
And then there should be a business side, project manager always assigned who can coordinate across multiple functions of the business. Otherwise, asking an IT guy to go around and run around to get things done doesn't work, right? So I think I've seen it enough now, and we make it a point to show that you please get a good, solid project manager from the business. Otherwise, don't do it.
That's great.